Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. When Judas had left them, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and God will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. I give you a new commandment. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you also should love one another. This is how all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
When a young monk first enters the monastery, he will find on the desk of his new room, we use the word cell, his new cell, the words from the book of Sirach, chapter 2, that begin as such. My son, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for trials. My son, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for trials. Not the most welcoming of statements, especially for Benedictines who are known for their hospitality. Welcome to the monastery. Get ready to suffer. But that is there because it's only doing what Saint Benedict wants the monks there to do for the new monks. Basically, Abbot Benedict, in his holy rule, tells the monks there to let the young monk know how difficult it's going to be in the monastery, so that when it does come, they're not surprised. It's similar to what we hear in the first reading from the book of Acts, the great drama of the early church spreading the good news of the gospel. And we learn something very important, and something that you and I know very well. Each one of us, in his or her particular situation right now, knows very well. And we hear Paul and Barnabas speak to the disciples, but let us hear it for ourselves. Here in Mount Angel, at this 10 o'clock Mass, on this fifth Sunday of Easter, year C, if you're paying attention. They strengthened the spirits of the disciples and exhorted them to persevere in the faith, saying, "It is necessary for us to undergo many hardships to enter the kingdom of God." It is necessary for us to undergo many hardships to enter the kingdom of God. My son, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare yourself for trial. So, being Christian from the beginning, this is the Acts of the Apostles, Christianity is fresh. Christ has just died and rose from the dead. And Paul and Barnabas are telling everyone about the good news that Jesus is risen from the dead, but this is what they say. It is necessary for us to undergo many hardships to enter the kingdom of God. And why would they say that? Because the one whom we just celebrated 5 weeks ago was our leader, and he suffered and died when he came to earth. And so why should it be different for each one of us? So yes, Christianity and doing the Christian thing is very difficult. And we live in a world right now in 2025 that doesn't want to hear about the truths of the gospel. Pope Leo XIV, in his opening, his first homily, has some very strong words about that. And just how against the Christian message the world is today. And how many people think being Christian is insignificant, for the weak. This is the world that we're living in. But the good news is this, and it comes in our second reading from the book of Revelation. This is beautiful. And I want you to hear it here and now, right? Because every time the scripture is proclaimed in the assembly, it's happening now. It's proclaimed for you now. So John is telling us, "I, John, saw a new heaven and a new earth. I saw the holy city, a new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband." And then listen what he says. "I heard a loud voice saying," and maybe this new mic is the loud voice. I feel very loud. This is John talking. "Behold, God's dwelling is with the human race. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will always be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no more death or mourning, wailing or pain, for the old order has passed away." And then the one who sat on the throne said, "Behold, I make all things new." So yes, it is necessary for us to undergo many hardships. That is to say, We're going to suffer. And it's going to be difficult to be a Christian. But behold, God's dwelling is with the human race. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will always be with them as their God. So you will suffer, but God's dwelling will be with you in that suffering. He will be present to you in that suffering. You know, the gospel today is one that we know very well, and it can seem pretty simple. My children, I will be with you only a little longer. I give you a new commandment. Just 3 words, right? Love one another. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you also should love one another. So, I want to expound on that a little bit. Love one another. And many times, you know, a lot of our sufferings in life can come from that exhortation or lack of loving one another, or lack of loving one another. Right? Because true love is going to mean giving up a lot of our wants and our desires. True love is going to be loving our spouse, our kids, our parents, in my case, my brothers at the monastery, when they're not easy to love, or when they do something that hurts us, that offends us in some way, or that simply annoys us. And Saint Benedict has something to say about that. He says in his chapter 72, just as there is a wicked zeal of bitterness which separates God and leads to hell, so there is a good zeal which separates from evil and leads to God and everlasting life. This then is the good zeal which monks must foster with fervent love. They should each try to be the first to show respect to the other, supporting with the greatest patience one another's weaknesses of body or behavior, and earnestly competing in obedience to one another. No one is to pursue what he judges better for himself, but instead what he judges better for someone else. I love that line. Supporting with the greatest patience one another's weaknesses of body or behavior. And oftentimes, that's when the rubber is hitting the road. We don't have to go far like Paul and Barnabas did, spreading the gospel to undergo many hardships. No, we have to go home and love our families. and we will undergo many hardships there. But the beautiful news is that Christ is present there, and he wants to be present there. And so today, in the midst of the joy of the resurrection, the good news is that Christ is present in our sufferings. And I want to encourage you today. Pope Leo talks about, I'm really excited for Pope Leo, bringing into the West a sense of mystery into the liturgy. And there's symbols, there's signs that are happening all around us. And one sign that I think gets often overlooked is the bringing up of the gifts, right? That happens at that part of the liturgy when it kind of seems like it's an intermission, right? After the prayers of the faithful, we all sit down. Okay, it's time to, when I was a kid, it's time to go to the bathroom, whatever, I don't know. And we're taking up all the money and the gifts, and the priest is doing his thing up here. But no, the priest can't do anything until that bread and wine get brought up. And that bread and wine represents each and every one of you. Fruit of the earth and work of human hands. And so today, I want you to put your anxieties, put your trials, put your pain, bodily, spiritually, mentally, whatever it is, onto that paten. And as the gifts get brought up, see yourself being brought up, your pains, your trials, your sufferings, brought up and placed into the hands of the priest in persona Christi and united with the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. You bring yourself, we bring our whole selves into the sacrifice. And what does Jesus do? He says, take this, all of you, and eat of it. This is my body. This is my blood. He makes himself present with your suffering, with your sacrifice. In a word, the two become one. Your sacrifice, my sacrifice, is united to the one sacrifice of Christ. So yes, my friends, Jesus is very, very present in the midst of each and every one of our suffering. Never forget that. Never forget that.